You're about to be positioned for the love and life you are meant to live. This is the Life Redesign Show with your host, Nasira Nikisha Michelle. Welcome to Life Redesign, a show that inspires women all over the world to prepare and position for the life they are meant to live. I'm your host, Nasira Nikisha Michelle, the Life Redesign Queen. And today's show is going to answer that question, how to find true love from a woman's perspective. Our guest expert is a love coach, matchmaker, and author of She's Valuable, but Does She Know It? Welcome to Life Redesign, our first guest, Miss Dominique Clark.
Yay!
Dominique, media is showing us that relationships aren't lasting, and they're often ending very bitter, very tumultuous. According to popular online blog Pop Sugar, in 2016 alone, there have been over 46 breakups. Couples who have just said, I'm done. And we know most recently, Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie. There is Mary J. Blige and Kendu Isaacs. They all called it quits. Dominique, my question to you, as a matchmaker, as a love expert, and the author of this amazing book, is there hope for finding true love? And what does a woman have to do to get it?
Well, first of all, there's absolutely hope for true love. It's unfortunate that you're seeing people left and right kind of dropping out of relationships. And I think that it happens for a number of reasons. And the first thing that I will say to you is that the one thing that we all must do, not just women, but everybody, but most importantly women, is understand who you are and understand your worth. For me, it's the ultimate prerequisite to dating and relationships. If you don't know that information, if you don't know who you are, if you don't know your value, if you're not walking in your truth and your worth, then you have no idea what you're entitled to. So you start to put up with stuff, settle for stuff, in and out of meaningless relationships with, situations that are going to take you nowhere, and it's derailing you from your destiny. So you've got to be in tune with who you're supposed to be. And I always say your optimal self, and understand who you are and your value, and start there first.
Well, Dominique, that's good. Now, you said in your book, as it was pertaining to you, that uniqueness is a gift. You embracing your uniqueness is a gift. And when you learn to accept that, you begin to live. Now, I'm curious. I want to know, what did you mean by that? What did you begin to live, and what does that mean? And what would that mean for women who are going to pick up your book?
Yeah, so we're all unique. We all have special gifts. We all have special talents. Our beauty is different. We all have different things to offer the world. And I feel like when you tap into that, you can truly start to live and operate in the fullness of all of who you are. But it's so important to be able to do that. And so for me, it wasn't until I tapped into that I started living. I stopped comparing myself to other women.
Oh, that's a big one.
Yes, I stopped seeking validation from men. I stopped, abusing myself for what daddy didn't do and what mommy didn't say. And so when I realized, oh my goodness, I am unique, I am valuable, I have so much to offer the world, regardless of what is going on around me, regardless of what anybody says, and how dare I minimalize that, for anything. God created me to fulfill something that only I can do. And so I've got to be confident in that and walk in that and do it.
I understand that. So taking it a little further, when you're talking about we are ending the cycle of feeling pressure to be something that we're not, it's a lot of pressure. How do we end that cycle? Because I know even myself, wouldn't do TV for a long time because I wasn't thin. And when I finally broke through and did my first audition and got it, I was like, oh, you mean to tell me all I had to do was do that in the first place? That it was all up in my head. So please, with all the pressure of trying to conform to what society says is beautiful, what society views as valuable, how do we, I say, march in our own parade or start our own parade of being valuable? How do we do that?
Well, the first thing is you have to define beauty for yourself. You have to think about, what does it mean to me to be beautiful? What does it mean to me to be, amazing and someone worthy of having whatever it is that I want to have? What does it mean to me? And then you have to define that for yourself and not lose sight of that. Stay in tune with what that is, because there's going to be a pretty girl, there's going to be somebody smarter, there's going to be somebody with a better shape, somebody thinner, but that does not mean that they're better than you, And so that's the first thing. And the second thing, like you said, we got to get out of our own minds. We allow stuff to, whatever the media has to say, whatever someone else says, and we implant it in our mind. We sit on that, marinate on that, and give it a place to live. And it turns into beliefs in our reality.
Yes.
We've got to get control about what we allow to fester and house in our minds. So when you get something negative, when you're presented with something that may challenge who you are and who you're supposed to be, you've got to be prepared with something positive to fight that thing. So it's like, go ahead. What were you going to say?
Well, I was just going to say that was a good point, but how do I know if I've been in this mode for so long? Most of us, it started, even your book, you talk about your younger years, your adolescent years, and it's ingrained. So how do I know if I am basing my perception of me based on what other people are doing or seeing or what they think of me? How do I know if I'm doing that or not? Because sometimes we don't even know that that's what we're doing because we've been doing it for so long.
So first thing is you have to be so honest with yourself that it hurts. And the second thing is you have to be completely self-aware. And what I mean by self-aware is you have to kind of look at yourself from your higher self. Look at how you're behaving in response to stuff. Look at how you're responding to things verbally. Look at how you're speaking to yourself. Look at the things that you're believing and allowing to take place in your heart that shouldn't be there. We have to be completely self-aware that we realize and take notice to what is happening and how we're reacting to those things. And when you do that, you're able to say, well, if I want to be this, if I want to be the next best version of myself, me behaving in this way doesn't align with that. You know what I mean? Me speaking in this way, me allowing these things to affect me does not align with the next best version of myself that I hope to be. And then you have to be so honest with yourself that it hurts. So honest with yourself that, am I really self-sabotaging? Am I speaking negatively to myself? Am I allowing what someone's opinion of the world, of what the world is saying I should be, and the standards of beauty that we're supposed to be, to fit in, alter who it is that I am? And if I'm doing that,
Dominique, if I'm going from being honest to being critical, because I can see that being an issue too with women, from going from being honest, having that honest talk, to be having a critical talk. So how do I balance those two? Because what you're saying is so good.
Yeah, well, critical is, you got to think about, so critical is you are doing something harmful. You are speaking negatively. You are speaking down to. So critical is you are diluting who you are, as opposed to saying, oh my goodness,
you are.
Yeah, diluting who you are, as opposed to saying, you know what, Dominique, you're not necessarily, you're trying to do what Sheila's doing down the block. You know what I mean? That's not right. I don't need to do that. Let me stay in my lane.
I like that.
And move forward from there. Not saying, you know what, you're not how Sheila is, and Sheila's doing this and Sheila's doing that, and you're not doing that, so you must not be good enough. Having that type of talk with yourself is critical. Speaking down on, as opposed to saying, you know what, let me be honest about what I'm doing and how I'm interacting and engaging with other people and the things that I'm speaking to myself. It may not be as positive as it should be, so let me shift that a little bit.
Okay. That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. Now I'm going to quote you directly from your book. You said a weak woman is not aware of her strengths, her abilities, her power, her purpose. So if that is true, what are the signs or qualities of the valuable woman? Because I don't want to be a weak woman. So one thing I know prey on weak women.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be that. And I know the viewers don't want to be a weak woman, but we need to know what's different, since I know that that's weak. What makes me valuable?
So the first thing you have to do is take the lens off other people and focus on yourself for a little bit. An assignment that I give all of my clients at the beginning is to get down, get a piece of paper, and start writing down all the things that make you great, whether it's small, whether it's big, whether it may seem, minuscule to other people. Start thinking about yourself, because see, sometimes we get so caught up in what other people think is good about us, and those are the things we start to quote. If someone asks us, what are your strengths and weaknesses, we'll often spit out what we've heard other people say about us. But spend some time thinking about you and your greatness and your strengths and what you're good at and the qualities that you possess that you feel like no one else does, and start writing those things down. So that's the first thing. Write those things down.
That makes you aware, because you said in the startup, you have to be aware of your value, aware of what you offer.
You have to be aware. So a valuable woman knows her strengths. She knows what makes her strong. She knows what she stands on. She has a foundation, right? A valuable woman has something positive to contribute to the world. So you're not selfish with your gifts. You're not selfish with your time. You're not selfish with, the things that you've been given to share with other people. You will readily give that and make yourself available to those around you and that may be in need. A valuable woman is someone who does not settle, but she requires a standard to not only engage with her in relationship, but in life, but in business, but in friendship. I always tell women that you have to develop a realistic and a healthy standard, and you can still have a standard and win. A lot of people feel like I have a standard, if my standard's up here, I'm not going to get a relationship. Nobody's going to want me, or, no, have a standard. And when you have a standard, a healthy standard in place, you will still win. And so those are some of the things that I feel like are characteristic of a valuable woman.
Wait, but let's back up a little bit. What's a healthy standard? Because I know women, exes.
Yes.
We will create a 10-page thesis of what kind of man we want. So what differentiates between a healthy standard and just having a whole lot of expectations? And it's almost like, honestly, sometimes the expectations that we can have as women or hold as women for our men parts are unrealistic. So can you break that down a little bit?
Well, first I'll say that all that glitters is not gold, right? And so I feel like that's where we start with our list. It's surface stuff, right? We start thinking of, I want this height, and I want this type of income, and I want somebody that can provide this type of life for me, and I want somebody who, all these things that have nothing to do with the character and the integrity of a person. So when I talk about healthy and realistic standards, I'm talking about starting from that place of character and integrity, what somebody can offer you in a relationship, what somebody can give you that will help you grow into a better woman. Start with those qualities first. Think about the things that where you want to be in life and the type of person that needs to be beside you that can help you get there and not derail you. Those are the things that you need to start with first as far as developing a healthy standard, because we can get so caught up in the Idris Elbas and the Michael Ealy's of the world and all these handsome guys that's great on the inside, but you have no idea what type of person that man is when the cameras and lights are off.
Preach, girl.
You know what I mean? He could be abusive. He could be, unfaithful. He could be not committed. So you need to start with the things that are most important first. And then to take it a step further, someone who shares similar values as you. What do you value? Think about that. What's important to me? One of the things that my pastor has said to me, and that he preaches all the time, I use with my clients too, because I just think it's incredible. When you think about relationship and you start dating someone, you want to be in agreement with someone in 5 areas. You want to be in agreement with sex, intangibles, money, finances, and kids. You need to find someone who shares the same values as you in those areas.
Yeah.
Because with the lack of agreement in those areas, that is when relationships start to crumble.
Yes.
Because those are the main things that mess people up today.
Yes.
Before you get into a relationship and marriage, where that person stands on that, and if it's in alignment with you, then you've created a healthy standard and you're moving in the right direction.
I have had that's such a good point, because I've had several women that will come into my practice and say, my husband wants to have sex all the time, but I don't feel like it, I don't want it, I don't desire it. And I'm saying to myself, well, I like it, and I like to have it all the time. I identify with you. Did y'all talk about this before you started dating? Sometimes my mind is like just blown at some of the situations that come, and I'm thinking, what did you do during the courting phase or the dating phase of your relationship? So let me ask you a question. Once a woman knows she's valuable, going into courting or going into dating, how does she continue to feel secure or feel like, or let me just say this, how does she know that she's dating the right person? So that she doesn't get down the line and say, you know what, I don't want to have sex. He likes to have sex 5 days a week, and I only want to have it once a month. How do we not get into those situations?
Well, first of all, you have those tough conversations up front. You know, a lot of people are scared to talk about sex and talk about money and religion and all that stuff because, like I said, we get so caught up in the surface, the glitz and the glitter and the gold. And we want to stick with that. You know, we get married to that we miss the most important stuff. So we find ourselves in a relationship that's going nowhere because we decided to avoid that conversation because we didn't want to get out of that sweet and good spot that we found ourselves in at the beginning.
The honeymoon
feels
phase.
good at first. You're like, he's fine, and you know,
Yeah.
we're doing this, we're doing that, so it feels good. But then you got to have those difficult conversations up front and not be afraid to have it. And we're afraid to have it because we don't want that person to go away. Right?
That's true. That's
so,
true.
No, we need to have those conversations up front. So you know you're with the right person is if you have those conversations up front and that person's in agreement with you. You know you're in the right situation when that person, and I always say this to my clients, find themselves being more interested than interesting. And what I mean by that is someone who is getting to know you. They're asking questions about who you are, who you want to be, and all of that stuff. They're trying to get in tune with who you are to your core and not so much worried about telling you all about them and what they're doing. You know, they put a spotlight on you to get to know who you are. And so that level of curiosity really shows that somebody's into you and this person may be a good fit for you because they're curious to know who you are. They want to know what you're about. And so that's a big thing. And then time, you have to think about someone who's making you a priority.
Okay.
And so you know you're with the right person as if they are willing to take some of their time away to invest in getting to know you, spending time with you, talking on the phone. They don't find themselves too busy and distracted by whatever else is going on in the world or in their lives. But they're making time for you. They're making you a priority. And so those are some of the things that I think are imperative to look at to determine if this is someone that's really into me. Am I going in the right direction?
Right, right. So in your book, I want to address a lot of times as women, we've had such a crippled and dysfunctional past that causes us to have a lot of crippledness going on and dysfunction in our relationships that we bring to our relationships. And particularly, you said that we should honor the past and look at it as a blessing. But how do you look at the blessing that came from abuse, that came from being betrayed and being cheated on? Because we take all of those things into the next relationship. So I thought I was a valuable woman, but then this stuff happened. So how do I look at it as a blessing as you talk about that in your book?
Yeah, so remember we talked about being unveiling your strengths, you know, as a valuable woman. So if you ain't never been through nothing, if you have never gone through anything that has challenged you, that has made you stretch, that has, you know, you have not overcome anything. And so how do you know how strong you are? How do you know what you can do if you've never been through anything? Now, it's unfortunate. I've been raped. I am a victim of that. I have been hurt. I have been lied on by family and friends and whoever else. I have had difficult times in life, but I am thankful for those times because those times prepared me to, one, write this book, a reference, right? Because I went through something and it overcame. And so it allowed me to have a testimony that I can now use to help save someone's life.
Yes.
Look at those things as blessings. Yes, it hurt. Yes, it may have stung, but we can't live in that. We have to realize that, hey, this thing happened to me. It does not define me. It gave me strength and courage to move forward, to move away from that life so that I can now be a blessing to someone else and pull them out of that so that they won't have to go through that.
That's so beautifully said. And oh my God, you said that so beautiful. You was like, how can we be a woman of strength if we haven't gone through nothing?
You haven't gone through anything.
What I try to teach or share is, just because you are a woman of value, just because you're a spiritual woman or you're a religious woman or you are a good quote unquote woman, that does not exempt you from experiencing life.
Yes.
Life's pains. It doesn't exempt you.
Yeah.
It's just how you respond to it. So that was so good.
Yes.
So good.
And it equips you. It equips you. So the next time you're met with a challenge, you've got your armor on. You know what you can do. You can fight something a lot quicker and a lot easily because you've been through something, and you start looking at this next challenge as, oh, that ain't nothing. I done been through worse than that. I can tackle this. I can handle that.
I love it. Dominique, you say to women, no more dating by default.
Yes.
What does that mean, and how can we stop dating by default?
Listen, I think in anything in life, you got to have a plan and you got to have a strategy. If you want to get into school, or into graduate school, you are an undergrad, you are making good grades, you're trying to get the GPA, you're doing some community service, you're doing an internship in that area that you want to go to. You are purposely putting yourself in a position to be successful in getting into grad school. It's the same thing as dating. You cannot date by default. You have to date on purpose. So when you start thinking about, okay, I want to be in a relationship, get your stuff together, get your ish together, get yourself together and in line with what you want, so that when Mr. Right comes along, he won't overlook you because he realizes, oh my God, this girl's got it together. She's prepared. And also in being prepared, you become a better filter, right? You become a better observer of a man that is someone that you will value you and will treat you with the respect that you deserve and give you the things that you need, as opposed to someone who's only coming around for sexual favors or looking at this as a moment for recreation.
Yes.
No, you will become a better filter when you start dating on purpose and prepare yourself for the relationship that you say that you want. And a part of that, which we don't do today, we get so caught up in thinking about the type of man that we want when we are not even half of what we want somebody else to be for us. So a big part of being prepared is getting yourself to that space that you say you want somebody else to be for you, doing your work.
Wow, this has been an amazing interview. Listen, ladies, do you recognize your value when it comes to love and relationships? Dominique shares how to raise and take ownership of your value in her book, She's Valuable, But Does She Know It?, which can be found on Amazon.com. Thank you, Dominique, so much for joining us today. And do you have any closing remarks you would like to leave the audience and the viewers with?
Yeah, and one thing I always say to women, your crown is not invisible. It's there. It's just up to you to own it and walk proudly with that crown on your head, no matter what it looks like, no matter if it's different from someone else's, no matter if it's tilted to the side or positioned to the back, it's up there, and you better own that. And it's not until you own that that you know what you're entitled to. So get it together and know that you are valuable and worthy of everything that your heart desires.
And Dominique, if women out there feel like they want to, outside of buying your book, but they really are ready to believe in love again and get on the journey to love, where can they find you if they want to work with you as a love coach and or be matched?
Yeah, so you can find me at www.dclarkandcompany.com. I'm always trying to stir up conversations on social media too, so feel free to follow me there at dclarkandco on Instagram and Twitter. And on Facebook, it's at dclark. So yeah, follow me there. Visit my website. I'll be glad to work with you in any way that I can.
Thank you so much, Dominique. Ladies, everything that you've been going through is only preparing you for what you've asked for. The bigger the dream, the greater the preparation. Until we meet or speak, hug yourself from me. Until next time, I'm Nasira Nikisha Michelle, and thank you for watching Life Redesign. How can I
find a woman in my world, the one where I can love and trust. It's really not the beauty that is my concern, the natural quality of a good woman. Loving, caring for me, understanding and believing me. Anytime I'm down, she cry for me. Come rain, come shine, she's there for me.